friends, Peggy Hall back with you from thehealthyamerican.org. Yesterday, I did a video about the invasion of the illegals that are just flooding our country, millions and millions. And I gave you my assessment of what I think is really going on. Of course, we know that this is intentional, but I think even that battle of the governors sort of duking it out, like you take them, we don't want them. I think that might be orchestrated a little bit as well, because my belief is that these illegals are going to be flooding all different areas of our country, not just the border states. If you'd like to learn more about that, I will have a link for you below so that you can hear about the article that I read and I give you more of my analysis. It put me in mind to help those of you that are actually seeking to come into this country legally and to get your green card or your citizenship without becoming a human pincushion. I am not giving any legal advice. Let me give that disclaimer right from the get-go, but I am going to direct you to the information from the government so that you can see the form that you need to fill out. And this may not be for you directly, but it may be for a loved one. And my husband and I have helped so many people learn about their rights. And let me say just from the get-go that if you are applying legally to enter this country, or maybe you already are in the country and you want to get your legal status, then you also are under the laws of this country. And I would actually, well, I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. Let's go to the form, and then I will give you some education and information about how to avoid any traps in terms of doing this paperwork. I'm not telling you how to do it. I'm not giving you legal advice. I need to say that again and again. But I do want to help you understand your rights and the laws that should protect those rights. Even if you are not applying for your citizenship and you don't know anyone who is, I think that you'll find this interesting in terms of what the government requires for those who are coming into this country legally. So let's hop right on over here. And this is a website, which is the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, USCIS.gov. I'm on the page for application for waiver of grounds of inadmissibility. They, meaning the government, wants you to come into this country and get your, if you come into this country or you want to remain in this country legally, they want you to become a human pincushion. And I mean fully. So I'm going to click through to this document, the I-601, all right? And that will take us right over here. And this is the document that you would fill out if you want to get an exemption from that status of becoming a human pincushion. You can get a medical exemption and you can also get a religious exemption. You're going to scroll down, and this is the form that they provide. So if they provide this form, it means that they will allow for exemptions. Do not listen to the attorneys who tell you that you'll never get an exemption. Do not listen to the doctors that tell you you will never get an exemption. So here it's Section A, and it says that I believe I was told that I am inadmissible, right, for immigration or an adjustment of your status based on these grounds. And here, this is number 2. This is the one due to your religious convictions. I want to remind everyone that you don't have to belong to any organized religion, and this applies to you whether you are looking for a job, even as an American, or if you are trying to get into a college or any other situation. If your employer is requiring you to do this as well, you do not have to belong to any organized religion. You don't even have to believe in God, okay? You can have an expression of your, I'm just going to call it faith, that is based on your moral and ethical beliefs as well. I go into great detail on this in my private consultations that I do. So if you're interested in having me be there by your side as you're learning about this and help you avoid any pitfalls, that is over at thehealthyamerican.org. You just click on religious exemptions. So you choose this, number 2. Then there's another part where you look at so that number 4, Section A, you're going to click number 2. And then you're going to scroll down here, and there's a place Part 4, reasons for inadmissibility. And under this number 40 is where you are going to give your inadmissibility statement. So this is where you would express your objection to becoming a human pincushion because of your religious belief. Now, don't want to put words in your mouth, but if it were me and I needed to get an exemption, I would simply state honestly and simply and sincerely that I prayed about it and God told me not to. And that's it. Because my faith requires me to follow God's direction for my life. So that's my belief that I prayed to God. He told me not to do this, period. There may be some who have become pincushions in the past, maybe even recently, maybe even a recent flu cocktail, or maybe even a recent cooties cocktail. And then you decided that you don't want to go any further. You still have the right to give no consent to any further interventions. Now, there may be additional questions such as, well, don't you get medical care? And again, you can answer that question honestly. For me, I pray about that. If something were to come up, I sincerely would pray to determine whether or not this is something God wanted me to become involved in or with. So you can answer that honestly as well. If they dig a little deeper and they say things like, well, don't you go to the dentist? Have you ever had a broken leg? Then an honest answer would be, well, in the absence of disease or illness, I keep my body pure. If there were a condition where I needed to seek medical care, then I would take the appropriate steps. What they're trying to do now is sort of take you on a different path into science and medicine. Your religious beliefs should have nothing to do with the science or the medicine. The reason why a lot of people fell into these traps with their job, whether it was as an applicant or as an employee, whether you worked for the federal government or as a government contractor, maybe you have a child, a young adult who was trying to be exempt to the colleges. What happens is sometimes those people that are reviewing these exemption forms will try to lead you astray, and they'll say, aha, this is not a religious belief after all. You're just afraid of the side effects, or you believe that it doesn't work, or you don't like the ingredients in the cocktail. I wouldn't even go down that route, because to me, it doesn't matter if it works or not. It doesn't matter what's in the cocktail. What matters is I worship God by keeping my body pure, period. It doesn't matter. Any of that doesn't matter. And so you need to stick strictly to your religious beliefs. I will also say that some of these UCSIS agents in the Customs and Immigration, they may not be as educated as you are on this subject. So you need to educate them as well. I think the final, most persuasive statements could include something along these lines. My position in this matter is not based on personal, political, scientific, or medical reasons. It is based on my sincerely held religious belief. And friends, no one, no government agent, no employer, no doctor, not even a priest or a pastor has the right to question what's between you and your faith. That is a condition of your soul. And this is why it's so troubling to me. And this is why I stand so strongly on religious exemptions. I understand that there are many people that think going for a religious exemption is giving in or playing along. And I understand that position. I see it completely different. All right. I'm like 180 degrees. I think it's important to educate others, especially those in the government and those in authority, that we have religious rights that are protected in this country, and that you have the right to express your religious beliefs in a government setting, such as coming in as a legal immigrant, in an employment setting at the woke place, as I call it, at your child has that right in a college setting. You have that right in a medical setting. And it really grieves me when I hear people that have been coerced and intimidated, and they felt that they just couldn't keep fighting and they caved in. Please don't do that. I've got so many resources and remedies here for you. If you're interested in learning more about what to do in a medical setting, I have videos on that under my medical rights playlist. So when it comes to the immigration, that's one thing that I would say that's very strong, which is this is not a personal belief. It is a religious belief. And again, no one has the right to question that. You can't provide facts about it because it's a belief. And then the final thing I would say is something along these lines. If I were an immigrant coming to this country, I would remind the immigration officer and I would place in my statement something that says, because this country values the free expression of religion and protects and guarantees it, even in the case of this immigration status, that's one of the important reasons why I am seeking my immigration status in this country. I would just put it right out there. I would say, in a manner of speaking, you're saying, you're trying to take that away from me. That's one of the most important reasons why I want to come to this country, is because of the religious freedom that doesn't exist in other places. So those are some tips, not legal advice. That's just some friendly information and education about helping you express your religious belief. If you would like me to be a coach for you, to be there side by side to answer any questions that you have in a private setting, again, that's over at thehealthyamerican.org, and you click on religious exemptions. So I hope that this has been helpful for you, friends. I want to leave on this important note. The government and the evildoers are striving to remove our religious practice from this country. Here's a homework assignment for you. If you have health insurance, I don't. I have a Christian health sharing ministry, which is called SamaritanMinistries.org. I've done videos on that before. I do not pay money to insurance companies. So I can go to any doctor I want to, and it's a really wonderful setup. If you are in an insurance company, or if you go to a certain hospital, I would like you to research their non-discrimination laws. Those laws should include your religious rights as a protected class. In other words, the hospital, the doctor, the insurance company should have a statement that says this entity does not discriminate based on color, creed, which is your religious creed, age, gender, background, ethnicity, marital status. There will be other things that might be in this list. I want you to check to see if they have removed religion. We are protected by the First Amendment. We are protected by civil rights laws from 1964. You are protected by your state constitution, in addition to the Constitution of the United States. And there are probably additional laws related to public accommodations, meaning you have the right to go to these places and be treated equally. So now I'm not talking so much about the immigration law, but I'm talking about anyone in this country. And if you are in this country as a guest, as a visitor, not as an immigrant or a green card holder or a citizen, you still are protected under those rights as well. So you cannot be discriminated against legally based on your religious belief or your medical status. So my medical status is I'm not a human pincushion. That can't be held against me. Further, if an employer or somebody at a restaurant or a hotel tries to slosh this hogwash all over again and insinuate that I am carrying an infectious disease, that is defamation. And that is also illegal. And you could actually bring a legal case against the person that is defaming you. If you'd like to learn about that, you can study the course called How to Win in Court. And I also am going to have a video for you from Dr. Graves, who's the author of that course, that will be available for you tomorrow. And if you're watching this as a replay, you can find that in my playlist as well under legal and laws and courts and things like that. And that is where you can learn about the rules and the procedures in the courtroom so that you will be able to outwit the nitwits, as I like to say. I want to end again. I know I started to end a little while ago, but I love spending our time together here. I just want to emphasize how important it is that even if you are not a person of faith, wouldn't you rather live in a country that upholds its constitutional values and laws And one of those is the free expression of religion. So I'm not going to require a Sikh to remove his turban or a Catholic to remove a cross. You have a right as a Christian or anyone or of any faith to carry with you these items of your religious belief. There was a case that I mentioned in a previous video where a woman who was a member of the Sikh faith worked at the courthouse, and she would have to go through the metal detector. And as a part of her faith, she carried a small knife that had a dull blade. It was a 6-inch knife that she carried in a concealed manner as a part of her faith. I don't know all the ins and outs of the Sikh faith, but it had something to do with defending her faith, like the sword of truth. Christians have that as well. So the court said, you can't bring this in here because it's a weapon. And she said, it's not a weapon. It's a part of my religious garb. It's a part of how I express my religion. And I need to do that. And I'm protected. And they said, well, we'll accommodate you. You can bring in the knife, but it has to be smaller. And she said, oh, no, I'm bringing in the regular knife, the regulation size knife that I need for my religious garb. This went to federal court. And guess how it turned out? You're absolutely right. It was ruled on accordingly and accurately and in accordance with law in her favor. She had a right to carry that knife with her, even in the courtroom, because that was a part of her religious expression, and that is protected by law. It is so very important that we continue to stand for this. I am never going to stop talking about it. And if you would like to learn more, I have an entire playlist about religious exemptions. So that's where I would direct you. I thank you so much for being on board. Another reminder to join my free Substack, that is peggyhall.substack.com. It's a type of newsletter. And the reason why I'm promoting it so much is because it's such a valuable resource for you, where I will give you links to my videos, sometimes links to other people's videos. It's a type of newsletter where we can stay in touch. And ideally, it is censorship free. And in case any of these other video channels go dark, I'll still have a way to connect with you and let you know where you can find me. So thank you so much for being on board, everybody. I look forward to seeing you in our next get together.